Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores coming with the Day 3 Washington football team mandatory minicamp review and analysis. Today was the last mandatory minicamp practice, so that means the Burgundy and Gold will not be practicing again until July 27th. 47 days away. Just when we started building up momentum and getting excited about the team, they're about to be gone for 47 days before we get any more real news from the team. But we had fun. I'm about to break down this last day of mini camps, and then I'm also going to do a mandatory mini camp overall review probably tomorrow with the top standouts for mandatory mini camps, so be on the lookout for that. But there's a lot to discuss today. Rivera finally talked about the QB competition that we'll finally have heading into training camp. The receivers were balling out today, and like when I say receivers, I mean all of them, like even the guys on the outside looking in stepped up today. And then the defense dominated, of course, and we have much more to talk about as well. And before we get to it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video like this one. Make sure you check out the rest of the channel. All of my videos are organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos, so make sure you go check those out. Subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, man, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, Rivera addressed the whole Montez Sweat situation. For any of y'all that may not know, Montez Sweat is refusing to get vaccinated so far until he gets more information. He said something to the extent of he hasn't caught COVID yet, so he doesn't want to get vaccinated if it isn't a threat to him yet. And I'm not here to agree or disagree or tell anybody how to feel about this vaccine situation, but Ron Rivera did address it, and I liked how he spoke about it. He said that he'll talk to Montez Sweat about getting vaccinated, but he won't force it upon him. He said, quote, "I'm not going to go at anybody because we have a difference of opinion. The young man has to make his own decision." And I respect that. I mean, that's what he has to do as a coach. He brought in a specialist to talk to everybody and break down exactly what the vaccine is and what it's for and things like that. But Montez Sweat said that he kind of felt like it was more so to convince him to get the vaccine than for him to just truly learn more about it. So he didn't like the meeting. But again, Rivera, being the leader that he is, said he's not going to force anybody to do anything. But if Montez Sweat has any more questions, if there's anything that he needs to speak about, Ron Rivera said he has an open door policy for him to discuss those things. Moving on to real football news, and this is one of the things that had me the most excited from everything that's happened today, is that Rivera said that he learned from last summer, from there not being a true, real quarterback competition. He says he definitely wants to see one this summer. And he said he'll create more game-like situations and maybe rotate guys to work with different groups. So you'll see like Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen both getting the opportunity to work with the first team and things like that. With the first team offense and go against the first team defense. It's going to be a truly open quarterback competition. And I was a little worried because so far in OTAs and mini camps, it hasn't been an open competition. I mean, it's pretty much just Ryan Fitzpatrick with the ones, Taylor Heinicke with the twos, and Kyle Allen and Steven Montez with the threes, and everybody else that's left. So that definitely makes me happy to know that Ron Rivera will finally start up an open QB competition when we get to training camp. Still a little weird that we didn't really explore that in OTAs and mandatory mini camps, but hey, at least he's promising that training camp will truly get one for real. Rivera also said he's looking forward to seeing how Heinicke pushes Fitzpatrick's this summer. Fitzpatrick goes in with the edge, but they're very pleased with Taylor Heinicke's development. So Rivera even has some interest in seeing if Taylor Heinicke can dethrone Ryan Fitzpatrick for that #1 quarterback spot. So it's not even like Taylor Heinicke has to go out there with the twos in comparison to Ryan Fitzpatrick with the ones to be able to beat out Ryan Fitzpatrick. Since Ron Rivera is actually invested in seeing who's the better quarterback for real, it's safe to assume that Taylor Heinicke and Ryan Fitzpatrick will both get opportunities to play with the ones on offense and against the ones on defense. Rivera also took notice in the comfort level that Scott Turner has in year 2 as an offensive coordinator. Definitely a lot of progress there, and that matters a lot for us. I mean, because we have all of these weapons. We've improved at quarterback mightily. Offensive line has a lot of depth and potentially some good starters as well. But it won't matter at the end of the day if Scott Turner's not out there being a genius. And it sounds like he's getting more comfortable. And that's one of the biggest keys. If you're more comfortable, you're more relaxed, you're more level-headed, you're able to make better decisions and call better plays throughout better personnel groupings. You're not just experimenting, trying stuff, and making panic calls and things like that. So I'm excited about that. Plus, with him knowing what he's doing early on, that helps the players under him learn his system quicker and better. And now while they're practicing in training camp, they're practicing things that specifically matter and are tailored towards this offensive scheme. Rather than just practicing a whole bunch of just general things, now they can hone on in exactly what they need to do for this exact offense and the scheme. So that's great. Scott Turner being more comfortable as an offensive coordinator in his second year is going to be a great domino effect for a lot of things that's going to go right for us. I'm excited. We're going to go out there week one not looking like it's week one. Thank goodness. Starting off strong, fast, explosive. Also, Rivera said that he wants to keep the wide receivers as fresh as possible. So that's why there may be a few different groups rotating throughout team drills. So when it comes to training camp, just like the quarterbacks, it can be anybody with the first team against the first defense. It's not going to automatically just be Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and De'Ami Brown with the first team going against the first team defense, which is good because that lets us truly see how good Kelvin Harmon, Antonio Gandy Golden, Steven Sims, DeAndre Carter, Dax Milne, and Adam Humphries truly are. Also, special teams coach Nate Kaxer has used DeAndre Carter, Isaiah Wright, Steven Sims, Dax Milne, and Danny Johnson as punt returners so far this offseason. And he acknowledged the fact that Humphries can do it too. And he said that his main priorities for his starting punt returner is number one, efficiency, be able to catch the ball, and then number two, explosion. But number one, the largest priority easily is to just be able to catch the ball. Man, muffin punts is sad, man. That was a game changer. And it's also reported that Rivera, Scott Turner, and company like Dax Milne. Like I just spoke about with Nate, Nate sees Dax Milne as a potential starting punt returner for this team, but also Rivera and the guys would love to groom Dax Milne into a future star at slot receiver. So it sounds like he kind of has an edge on making this team. They sound like they have future plans for this guy. So if he doesn't make the team, at the very least, he's going to make the practice squad. Again, they have their sights into the future with Dax Milne, which makes his job a little bit safer than these other guys, where it's just, we'll see what they do this offseason. And before we get into all of the notable things that went down today in practice, just wanted to let y'all know that Curtis Samuel, J.D. McKissick, John Bostic, Jimmy Moreland, and Tim Settle all were not there at mandatory minicamps on day 3. Curtis Samuel's hurt. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with J.D. McKissick, John Bostic, and Jimmy Moreland, or Tim Settle. John Bostic and Jimmy Moreland missed, I believe, all of mandatory minicamps with excused absences. And again, I don't know what the reasons for those absences are, and I do not know why Tim Settle and J.D. McKissick were not there today. Also, Joe Theismann and D'Angelo Hall were there at practice watching. And then Logan Thomas was at practice, but he was not participating. Still probably a little banged up from that Chase Young play. Now moving on to the standouts. Every day, Chase Young is dominating. He breezed by Charles Leno for what would have been a sack. Again, I mean, just day after day after day, Chase Young is getting would-be sacks, but again, it's mandatory minicamps. They don't want to hurt the quarterback, so Chase Young is not allowed to touch Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, Steven Montez. But if this were real game action, Chase Young would have been right there for easy sacks all mandatory minicamp, including today. Sweat also dominated the guys blocking in front of him, and there were plays where Chase Young and Montez Sweat met in the backfield, like just completely dominating the offensive line. I mean, they're looking as deadly as ever. If anything, even better than what we've seen from them so far in their careers. And then today, Benjamin St-Juste got humbled a little bit today. Still had a good day overall, but De'Ami Brown caught him with one today. Went on a go route up the left sideline. Heineke hit him with a perfect over-the-shoulder pass for a touchdown. And of course, the receiving core and the entire offense was going ballistic because, you know, the defense has been talking the most trash all throughout the offseason. So whenever the offense finally gets a win, oh, they're going crazy. They're rubbing it right back into the defense's face, and I love that. I love the healthy competition. And I love the fact that Terry McLaurin's involved, because he seems like a really humble, like quiet guy. So whenever he shows any type of like emotion or attitude or some trash talk in him, some grit, I love it. I mean, even remember last offseason where he beat somebody, I believe it was Ronald Darby or something. He had like a really good one-handed catch through like a would have been pass interference, and then he ripped his helmet off and he was like angry and hyped and everything, and I love that. You just don't usually see things like that from Terry McLaurin, especially with the type of personality he has. But yeah, man, Benjamin St. Juste, they got him one time today. He was starting to gain all of this hype like he may be the next Darryl Green, and still, again, it's not like he's regressed. They just caught him with one. Dyami Brown's a really good receiver, so to me, this is not necessarily like, oh, Benjamin St. Juste isn't worthy of the hype. I think this is more so you look at this as Dyami Brown is just that dude. Benjamin St. Juste has been balling all offseason, and Dyami Brown even caught him with one. Maybe that's just me looking at it as glass half full, but I think both of them are going to be really good. And Dyami Brown's just been looking good all offseason, just period. Even in individual drills, he just looks so crisp. He catches everything, soft hands. His individual drills are just some of the most fun to look at. He just looks like a seasoned vet. It's crazy. But then Isaiah Wright even looked good today. Made a nice one-hand grab in individual drills. Dax Milne made a leaping grab at some point. Steven Sims made a nice catch 25 yards down the field from a great pass from Taylor Heinicke. And you keep hearing this trend about great passes from Taylor Heinicke this entire offseason. Every time there's a big play for a receiver, it sounds like Taylor Heinicke's behind it. And then even Antonio Gandy Golden had a great catch today. A very contested Troy Apke with surprisingly great coverage. Gandy Golden went up with one hand, super contested, and ended up coming down with it. And a lot of people are saying it may have been the catch of the entire mandatory minicamp. Like Antonio Gandy Golden probably had the best play of camp so far. Like that's crazy because his name was starting to veer off a little bit. We were starting to hear less and less about him. And then he goes and makes a statement like that. Interested in seeing what he'll do in training camp. But all he can do on his end is to keep making play after play and keep wowing the coaches. And even just beyond that, there was one play where Heinicke threw a pass to Milne and it was a good touchdown. But the best part of the play was AGG's blocking. Antonio Gandy Golden's blocking is what allowed Dax Milne to get that touchdown. Without AGG being able to block as well as he did, that more than likely would not have been a touchdown. So AGG is out here impressing the coaches as far as being a receiver and a blocker, and that's huge. Today was easily his best day of the entire offseason, and hopefully he carries that momentum into training camp. He's going to have 47 days to cool off. Hopefully he somehow finds a way to keep that momentum going. And then moving on to the tight end, Sammis Reyes is getting a lot of red zone work. I mean, in individual drills, in team drills, everything. They're throwing the ball to Sammis Reyes on fade routes in the back of the end zone, the corner of the end zone, and everything. And he's looking like he's starting to get a little bit more smooth with his route running. He's getting his head turned around on time to catch passes. His hands look soft. He's catching everything thrown to him. Even if the ball is slightly inaccurate, he's reaching out to get him. And he's even starting to toe tap right before he goes out of bounds. Like he's really, really progressing. And that has me very excited because like I said, Sammis Reyes is easily one of the top 3, top 5 players I'm most intrigued about this entire offseason. So to hear and see that he's finally developing into something that we may be able to throw out there on Sundays, and the fact that he's very likely to make the team now in comparison to how unlikely he was about like a month ago has me very excited. My boy Sammis Reyes is out here doing something, man. He still looks a little raw, you know what I'm saying? He still kind of looks like a guy that just never played football. But even Pete Honer, our tight ends coach, said yesterday that for somebody that has never played football, he has great hands. And take it from him, he's the guy that turned Detroit Logan Thomas into the Logan Thomas we have now, who should have made the Pro Bowl over Evan Ingram. So if anybody knows what he's talking about, it's Pete Honer. And the fact that Pete Honer has such high praise for Sammis Reyes has me even more excited. When the experts like him, I like him. Just like how I'm really high on John Bates just based off of the film I've seen on him back at Boise State and what I've seen from him in practices so far. But the fact that Chris Cooley and Zach Ertz, 2 guys that played the tight end position at very high levels in their careers, both love John Bates. How can I not be excited about that? When the experts are high on a player, that's when you need to actually pay attention to that player and believe the hype. Now all I'm waiting for is just a Darryl Green to come out of nowhere and give Benjamin St. Juste the seal of approval. Because once that's done, oh yeah, we out. And speaking of tight ends, Ricky Seals-Jones also caught a nice touchdown from Kyle Allen, who threaded the needle. Good catch. And that's what Ricky Seals-Jones does. As of right now, he's probably our best pure receiving tight end on roster. He's not Vernon Davis, but he's like a Vernon Davis type guy where he's like a pure receiving tight end, but you don't really want him blocking. And that doesn't necessarily fit what we want to do here, because we want to run 2 tight end sets, which requires our tight ends to be dual threat like Logan Thomas and like John Bates looks like he's going to be, and like Sammis Reyes has the immense potential to be. They need to be able to block and be a deadly pass catching option. Ricky Seals-Jones looks like he's already a pretty good pass catching option, probably the best on the team, honestly, by a small margin, but then he's also pretty far behind in blocking, and that may be the reason that he doesn't make the team, but we'll see. It just all depends on Sammis Reyes' development, which looks to be ahead of schedule right now, which I'm excited about. But back to the defense. Defense out here balling, man. Khaleke Hudson had a great play in the red zone where he read the play and hopped up and picked off Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then 2 plays later, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw another interception because Jonathan Allen batted the ball at the line and Bobby McCain was there to go make the play and catch the interception. And Bobby McCain had 2 interceptions today. He had one on Fitzpatrick and one on Heineke. And that's my guy right there. I keep telling y'all that's going to be our starting free safety day 1. His range, his ability to be a true center fielder and run the single high free safety on an island on the deep end by himself. We can finally run cover 1 now that we have a man cover corner like a William Jackson and a pure rangy free safety like a Bobby McCain. We can run cover 1 with a straight face now. So I'm really excited, and I love the fact that I'm hearing that Bobby McCain is not only starting at free safety in practice, but he's making plays, and he got 2 interceptions today alone, along with a couple of other interceptions he's had so far in camp. But I'm also excited to hear that Khaleke Hudson is having a strong offseason. He's made a few plays so far this offseason, and the potential of Khaleke Hudson at Sam, Jamin Davis at Mike, Cole Holcomb at Will, or maybe Jamin at Will and Cole Holcomb at Mike, that linebacker trio can actually be very deadly potentially. I still want to know what Shaka Toney can do. I would love for him to potentially develop as an outside linebacker as well. Feel like he can honestly just be a more athletic Anthony Barr, but we'll see, because Shaka Toney also made a play where he batted up a Kyle Allen pass and Justin Phillips was there to intercept it. So shouts out to Shaka Toney for also impressing. I feel like Shaka Toney, Khaleke Hudson, and William Bradley King's roster spots are fairly safe, and I feel like it's very likely for them all to make the team, but it's still great to hear them progressing and making plays in practice. But we'll see what all goes down in training camp when it really matters and they're playing with pads on and everything. We're going to truly get to see who's really good out there and who's not. And even Cole Holcomb made a play. Speaking of the linebackers, Cole Holcomb made a crazy one-handed all the way back here with it interception in practice today, man. I mean, he's out there balling. He's looking like he's even getting better and better each year. So I'm really excited about that. And then, of course, William Jackson locking up everybody that he's going against. Remember how De'Ami Brown killed Benjamin St. Juste today? The unsung hero of camp? Well, William Jackson shut down a De'Ami Brown pass deep down the field with a breakup from a throw from Ryan Fitzpatrick. William Jackson said, nah, y'all not doing that to me. I ain't going for that. I'm one of the top 10 corners in the NFL. I ain't going for that. I know De'Ami Brown's nice and all, but I shut down everybody, and I love that. Premier players making premier plays. Remember, Chase Young, Montez Sweat have been dominating. The defensive line in general have been dominating, and William Jackson, other than a couple of plays where Terry McLaurin got the best of him, because it's just like, what can you do? Terry McLaurin would have killed anybody in the league with that move, maybe even Jalen Ramsey. So other than that, William Jackson has been shutting down everything thrown his way. And then to end the last mandatory minicamp practice, Dustin Hopkins hit a 48-yarder, which allowed them to end practice 5 minutes sooner. And of course, everybody was super excited and jumping up and down and things like that. Super happy to end practice 5 minutes early. Plus, the entire practice just had a bunch of energy in general. A whole lot of yelling, celebrating, trash talking. So Dustin Hopkins ending it with a 48-yard field goal was just like the cherry on top to the energy. And again, this will be the last practice we see the Burgundy and Gold have and participate in until July 27th. So it's about to be a little ugly, a little dry out here But y'all know me, man. I'm gonna come up with content no matter what. I gotta get to these film sessions for this rookie class in that 47-day break with no real Washington football team news coming out is the perfect opportunity for me to get those done. And I have a lot of other video ideas I'm gonna get to y'all as well. So stay tuned for all of that, man. But that's the end of this video. Please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe. If you haven't, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release an informative and opinionated video like this one. And like I said, be on the lookout tomorrow for my mandatory minicamp wrap up, where I break down the best plays and the best players from mandatory minicamp, the 5 standouts and things like that. I'm just gonna do it overall, what happened the past 3 days, who was the best, who was the worst from mandatory minicamp. So be on the lookout for that. And as always, man, I really appreciate all of the support, man. Big shouts out to everybody that donates to the channel, man. Really appreciate y'all. Big shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now, man. I really appreciate all of y'all for real. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.